What's up, everybody? This is Alec Ingold with the Las Vegas Raiders coming to you today. I get to talk to you guys about goals, mindset, achieving the best version of yourself. And I really mean that. Like when you are watching this video and you're with your parents or whoever you're watching this with, really ask yourself at the beginning here, are you being the best version of yourself on a daily basis? When you wake up, you look in the mirror, are you making a conscious effort to be the best version of yourself? And with that being said, I'd like to start with a story. I think a great representation of that question and this whole talk that I'm going to get into is a story about this college kid. He went to the University of Wisconsin, just like a lot of you guys might be familiar with. That might be a goal of yours, and did everything the right way. Did all the little things the right way. And going through his process of school, you get to that point where, okay, now it's time to get a job. You chose your major, you chose, all these paths, all these decisions lead up to this moment of, okay, now I need to go to the real world. Where am I going to go? What jobs am I going to do? I'm going to do some research. I'm going to, find the best culture. I'm going to figure out what cities I want to move to, doing all that research, and found the company Oracle, which is a good software company. And they had a sales job out in Boston. And this kid decided, do the preparation, gonna lock down this interview, has to go through a phone interview. After filling out the online application, crushes that, goes on to in-person interview after in-person interview, gets to the final in-person interview, and this is it. This is like, you've made it through all this stage. This is a very, highly touted job offer that you're going towards, and to be able to walk out of that job interview and to be told you got the job, you did it, congratulations, we want you at Oracle, we're going to offer you this job, we'll move you out to Boston, it's going to be a 10-month training session, and you can move across the country, you can move across the world, and you're going to be pretty successful in sales. And guys, like, super pumped, gets home, and then it's kind of like, well, is this it now? Like, this is a job, I did all this work, I found my goal, I achieved it, and now we're just kind of sitting here like, is this it? And, that kid was me. That's what I went through my senior year of college. The summer going into my senior year, I went through a huge job interview. I crushed it. And on the way home, I was kind of like, I feel like I should be a little bit more excited about this. I should feel some sort of, energy, enthusiasm. I need to call people. And I kind of got home and I was just like, this is it. And that's a moment where I kind of realized that my football path, that was really my desire. That's where my heart was at. It didn't matter, plan A, plan B, whatever you want to talk about. That was a moment where I was like, my true desire was football. And it was something that I needed to do. And, I had successful seasons prior, but the NFL really wasn't real for me at that time. So I had to lock down on this job. There was not going to be an NFL reality for me. What you see on Sundays right now was not real for me. And going through that job interview, going through that process, it really it made me understand what I needed to do to kind of have that burning desire, that decided heart to go after something and be the best I could be as a football player. And to accomplish a goal, but have it not really turn out to be what you thought it was going to be, you can kind of understand that wasn't really your desire. I didn't need Oracle in my life to have fun, to be successful, to be happy, but I needed football. I needed to be with my brothers. I needed to be on that field making plays, making my family proud. All of those things played into my desire of being in a football field. And I think that is number one goal, or the number one step in understanding where you want to go in life and the goals that you're going to follow down the road, is that desire. It's more than a want. You can want a lot of things, but the one thing that you need, that's a desire. That's something that can light a fire inside of you, and it's going to stay lit until you get the job done. That's really the starting point, but then there's a disconnect, right? So it's like, okay, my desire is football. I want to do this football thing. Whatever your goal is, whatever your desire is, there's a disconnect between who you are right now and where you're trying to go. And I think that was a huge moment in when I needed to write down a game plan. I needed to see something visually and understand that, okay, Oracle's cool, got it, solid, but how am I going to be an NFL football player? And that's when I really had to take a look in the mirror. And this is something that you really have to be true with yourself on who you are as an individual right now. And I had to rip myself apart when I was looking in the mirror. I had to say, you're overweight, you're under athletic, you're not as determined, focused as you need to be. You're a backup fullback at the University of Wisconsin. That's not an NFL fullback lifestyle. I wasn't living in the daily grind that I needed to in order to achieve the goal of being an NFL fullback. I wasn't doing the right necessary actions. I wasn't eating the right way. I wasn't doing the little things to get me from point A to point B. So when you're thinking about that, think about your game plan. Think about writing stuff down every single day where you can see it. I put it up in my sink. So I was brushing my teeth when I'd wake up in the morning. It didn't matter if I felt great, if I felt really crappy, whatever was happening that day, I could see my game plan on the mirror. I could see what I had written out for myself and the things that I needed to accomplish every single day in order to be the best version of myself. All of a sudden, I wasn't trying to, be an NFL fullback day one. No, I was trying to be the best version of Alec Ingold I could possibly be by waking up early, going to the weight room early, stretching, studying, being on top of my schoolwork so that didn't stress me out when it came game time, being a great person in the locker room, talking to my coaches, communicating, asking for help, investing in my teammates, all of those things I had to write down. I wrote down every single one of them so that I could understand this is the actions I need. I need to be the best version of me every single day. And that was my game plan. And that was something that I could take with me and I could run with every single day. So then when I went to bed, exhausted, excited, whatever happened that day, when I woke up the next day, it was a new game plan. It was a new me that I had to set the standard and keep resetting it every single day so I could recommit to this game plan until these actions became habits, until it wasn't a second thought on chicken and rice over a cheeseburger and fries. And I think those little things, it might seem elementary to say, oh, well, okay, I'm just going to write it down. But it really takes effect when you see it. Because it's a little bit harder to kind of just ignore that little itch in your head that's saying, you got to be great. You got to do this. You got to do that. When you see it, it's like, man, I wrote that stuff down myself. You can't let your former self down. You really have to recommit yourself. And that game plan is something that I had to read every single day. And that's something where, I don't think that I was able to really understand what I was doing until you look back months afterwards. And that's where a mindset comes in. Your mindset is where you are determined to make this thing happen. You wake up, you have your game plan, you have your desire, you know what your desire is, you have your game plan, and now it's a mindset of, I'm going to do this thing every single day, and I'm going to keep growing, regardless of the circumstance, regardless of the adversity, because adversity happens, life happens to everyone, but when you're starting on this path, day one, day two, week one, week two, all of a sudden, it gets a little bit easier to wake up every single day and have that same mindset. But it's a consistency factor. It's something that you can't just take a day off. It has to reconnect every single day until it's second habit, and that's who you are. And that's when you walk into a room, you're setting the tone. You're making other people's days better because they understand who you're going to be every single day. And they can say, it's a infectious energy. It's something where you walk into a room, people can understand that you are just different. You have bigger goals than what's happening on a daily basis. And everyone knows those types of people where you can walk into a weight room, you can walk into a classroom, and someone can say, I'm really going to go get it. A lot of people might roll their eyes the first few days, first week. But after that first or second month goes by, the third month, and you're still showing up with that same energy, that same focus, that same drive, that's who you are now. That's who people can count on. And that accountability, that trust, all of that can really help you maximize being the best version of yourself. And that's the mindset. It's something you have to make it happen. It's a consistent drive. You're making your days better. And it sets the tone for when something goes wrong. Because something goes wrong for everyone. And I think, in my story, my senior year of football, I'm going week 1, week 2, week 3, and I'm playing this thing out, right? And things are going well. I didn't start on anyone's watch list. I didn't start on a Senior Bowl watch list. I started off very unknown for that senior year. And to have that consistent drive, that consistent mindset, months at a time, weeks, months, I tied it all together for a full season. It all came together for me. And, I get invited to the NFL Combine. I get invited to the Senior Bowl. Only fullback invited. And it's like, that gives you confidence to keep being the best version of yourself. Keep doing what you've been doing, right? So I'm training. I do well at the Combine. I do well at the Senior Bowl. Mock drafts have me up 5th, 6th, 7th round, day 3 draft pick. So I have my whole family over. I have this whole support system, friends and family over to watch this draft. And 2 other fullbacks got drafted, and I wasn't one of them. And to go undrafted, I'm sitting there, and I have this sheet of paper that's still in my sink. And you just think, I did everything right for 6 months, and you're going to tell me that I wasn't good enough? Like, a lot of people go through that. You go through this journey of committing yourself for so long, for months, and you are grinding, you're being the best version of yourself, and then you don't get that job offer. You don't get that promotion that you were looking for. You don't get that spot on a varsity team that you're trying to get. You don't get that girlfriend that you've been trying to ask out. All of these things, they're different goals, but adversity happens for everyone, and that was me. Going undrafted was adversity. That was the biggest piece of adversity that I went through because I maxed everything out. I gave you all I got, and you're going to tell me I'm not good enough? And that really hurt. But then I had laid such a strong foundation. That desire was still there. The game plan was still there. The mindset, it was still there. So when I'm undrafted, I get this opportunity to go try out basically for the Raiders. It was no decision. It wasn't, do I go sell Oracle software or do I take the shot as an undrafted free agent? And it wasn't even a decision. It was, I'm going to scrap this. Even when I had everything going right for me and I wasn't good enough, that's all right. We're going to write a new game plan down. I'm going to say I want to be the starting fullback for the Las Vegas Raiders. And I'm going to lock in on this thought. I'm going to change and I'm going to maximize even more. And I'm going to keep this positive momentum going. So even when things went wrong, I had the audacity to say, no, I'm going to keep going. And that's, adversity I see it as the thought after the thought. That's where your character and your foundation and the pillars of your life, that's really what ends up being your response. The thought after the thought. So everyone has the initial thought, right? Man, I didn't get that. I didn't get drafted. That sucks. Someone else got drafted. Man, you can be a hater, you can point fingers, but then what's that second thought? What are you going to do about it? That's when adversity, it can change into who you are as a human being, that character, the desire that can take over, the foundation that you've laid for weeks, months, all of those days you put together, waking up great, waking up crappy, seeing that game plan every day. That second thought, not the initial thought. Everyone has the initial thought. That's adversity. That's life. Life happens to all of us. But what that second thought is, that's who your true character is. Because you can take any negative situation and you can be positive about it. And that's what I had to do. I had to rely on the situation. Even when I did everything right, I'm gonna take this opportunity and I'm gonna run with it. And I think there's a lot of moments where you could say even when for me was going undrafted. And for a lot of people, you can think of all those moments that you might have, and you have an even when moment. And that is a kind of a reflection moment. It's a dig deep moment. It's a gut check. It's like, what am I going to do to improve? Because, something along the way obviously didn't work out for you. And, I wasn't the piece of paper that I had written down. I didn't accomplish that goal, but man, I came close. And man, was I a better person because of all of the actions that I've taken. Excuse me. And, you take that mindset, you take all these things I've been talking about, right? I've been talking for 15 minutes now about all of these things, this whole story, and I'm going to finish with this. So when I'm undrafted, you have pretty much no money in your bank account. You're across the country competing with grown men trying to take another grown man's job. He has to feed his wife, he has to feed his kids. And to every day show up ready to work, ready to grind, ready to learn, ready to improve. That's an even one moment. That's a gut check moment for real. And I just relied on all of those things that I told you about, and that's what I really had desire in my heart, and I knew I was going to give it my best shot. So I kept working, I kept prepping for OTAs, the whole offseason program. I just did everything right as best as I could. And then the first day of training camp, the other fullback that I was competing with tore his meniscus. He's out for 2 weeks. All of a sudden, this opportunity comes that was better than any other opportunity that, selfishly for me, unfortunate for the other fullback, but to understand that I had been working for so long for this opportunity, and I didn't know how it was going to show itself, but in that moment, I was ready. And I was able to take that opportunity, and by the 2 weeks when he came back, and we had played a few preseason games, they were resting me because I already made the team. I had already made the 53. And, I don't want to say that in light of an injury, or, I don't want to say that in light of, an opportunity that I was able to take advantage of. But I do want to say that opportunities are all around you. And when you are seriously looking at yourself in the mirror and wondering if you are being the best version of yourself, and you go through the actions that I just talked about, you find that desire, you make your game plan, you follow your game plan, you have that mindset to do it over and over again. And even when you do everything right and that adversity hits, you're going to reflect, you're going to adjust, you're going to move forward, and you're going to get better from it. Opportunities are going to come, you're going to be able to take advantage of it, you're going to be able to be the best version of yourself. You can be proud of the work that you've put in and proud of the person that you've become. So, a lot of that is my story, and I think a lot of that can be your story too. So, I hope you take this lesson. I hope you take some notes. Rewind this video if you need to watch it over again. Reach out to me on, Instagram. If you follow that, I'll most definitely respond and try and build a relationship with as many people as I can to just pass this knowledge along, and hopefully just understand that, there is potential to be reached here. And the more that you just look at yourself in the mirror and truly ask yourself if you're doing everything you can possibly do, I think, sky's the limit for a lot of you guys. So I enjoy the time that we were able to spend. Obviously, I wish I could be there in person. But hopefully this message resonates. Hopefully you take some notes. And, hopefully I see a lot of you guys reaching out and really seeing what your dreams, your goals, your aspirations are and accomplishing them. Because that self-belief, all these things I've been talking about, there's no secret sauce. It's just about waking up and doing it every single day. So I really appreciate the time, guys. Hope you have a good one.